Well, it's Tuesday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Veronica Danik Boy. As usual, I have my beautiful co-hosts with me. Welcome, ladies. Obi, it seems you did not get the memo because all of us have a touch of yellow and blue. Nobody told you.
Told me. I did not get any memo.
No, oh, you didn't see the wall gecko we sent?
Oh my God.
Excellent. Welcome, ladies.
Some people found it unusual that you were hosting the show and they were wondering, is this just yesterday and all that?
I'm going to talk about that too.
You don't know this lady. I'm going to bring out the real Veronica in this show.
No.
We're going to turn her into a beauty.
No.
It's more of a your beauty than you think. I'm telling you. So how was your night?
Oh my God.
Oh, Nima, no. I had a restful night. But before the
Like
night...
it's any of my business.
No, you asked how my night was, right? You didn't break it down, Shay. So my night, I had a restful night. And yesterday when I got home, with regards to yesterday's host, I was looking at some of the comments. And then I picked one where someone said, if you know be Panadol, it cannot be like Panadol. I'm like,
Oh my
okay.
God. Nigerian.
If I'm not Panadol, take me as paracetamol. At least it's still treating the same symptoms, right?
Yeah.
All right.
But then again, you're unique. You're you. I know you very well, so you know, I can't be moved by such comments.
No, I'm not. That's why I'm coming to talk about it. Like, we need to learn to adapt to change sometimes. If you don't have, when the useful is not available, the available becomes useful. Yes. And so it's like taking me as Panadol is still treating the symptoms. But then...
Just be you, the world will adjust.
All right, now, Nima, how was yesterday?
Yesterday was a blast. Oga, thank you. And then the Eradicating, Soman Nadike turned 40 yesterday. One of my landlords on the street, and it was the woman, Mrs. Nadike can cook. I thought the food was... It was continental.
So you ate everything?
And I expected that the catering was being from outside. And she said, I did everything at home.
Wow.
We had more. See, when they said buffet,
please
serve yourself. People sat down.
Wait, do you have a taste of everything?
Trust me, man. I went back for a second. My husband was like, you're just embarrassing me. I said, they say buffet, all of them sit down. I beg you, give me plates.
I
started. Nima's stomach came out a bit in her dress.
Yes, sir.
I took my bottle of wine from my table and continued the party at home. I had everything, small chops, everything, all the way home. It was really a blast. Many more fruitful years, like I said yesterday. Yeah. I couldn't sing. I was supposed to make it too. So when I got to the point of singing, my voice just, I did it. Thank God you didn't happy birthday for someone else.
All right, Obi. I told you I'll be calling you Obi.
I like the sound.
I'm doing great. This is my
How was your weekend, yeah?
Yes, my weekend was good. I was at the shrine.
Oh.
We had fun.
Okay, on Friday.
On Friday, I left there by 4 a.m. I had, there's this lady that was assigned to take care of us. You know, trust YK now. So immediately we got in, they served us fried rice and chicken. My keto people were forming. They were just eating chicken. I sat down, finished the rice, ate my chicken.
We need to tell her that before she ate that rice, there was another rice I had just eaten.
Hey!
Before we got to YK's.
I want to add a bit of weight.
You want to add a bit of weight?
A bit of weight, yes.
Why?
My height can carry it, actually. An African woman should have body.
You should have something.
Yes,
so I had
but then
fun.
we are weight conscious.
I had fun, then I rested yesterday. I'm fresh, I'm back, I'm ready to
Since you lost the weight over the weekend.
Hey, it's not showing.
It's not showing, though.
No, she knows
Someone
what
like
I
me should have
mean. She knows
shown.
what I mean.
Yeah.
All right, Mariam.
Yeah, so I was here yesterday, but yesterday I had written something. I'd put my daughter up for some form of audition.
Okay.
And I had not heard back from them. My daughter is 4-year-old.
What audition was that?
It's like a drama, acting, singing audition. My daughter is 4 years. She's 4 years old.
Catch them
she's
young,
very, you know,
I saw her,
active, you know.
younger.
So I didn't hear from them, and I sent a message to them wondering what had happened. And they said, oh, sorry, you didn't hear from us, but audition already starts today. So we got there, I quickly got there, and they said, oh, how old is she? I said she's 4. They said the reason I didn't get a message was because she's 4. They're supposed to be from 5 years and above, but they still saw her and they fell in love. And then it just taught me sometimes, don't just wait for it to happen to you. Yeah. Take that step and call and make the call and just...
To know, just, try a lot.
Because sometimes
shooting your shots like they
sometimes you let things
usually
pass.
say.
And even though she wasn't 5, they still took her. She's
Congratulations.
Yes.
That's good. I'll be looking out for her then.
Was persistent.
Yeah.
Persistence space. Yeah. Well, when we return, we review the newspaper headlines for today. Stay with us. Well, thanks for staying with us. I'll start with the Punch. 2018 budget deficit may rise to 4.4 trillion naira report. That those who feel they have another country free to go. That's President Buhari speaking. Oshunpo Tribunal orders substituted service on INEC Oyetola. NHIS, policemen, tear gas, protesting workers escort executive secretary to office. And we have the major headlines here. APC post-primary crisis, Amosun slams Tinubu Oshoba as anti-Oshomole protests spread. Over 90% of members support me. That's APC chair. Fire share arranged, remanded in AFCC custody till Wednesday. Pandemonium as Edo Assembly impeaches Deputy Speaker. Lagos pepper seller dies in police custody. I hope someone has that story. Then Kaduna streets deserted as security operatives enforce curfew. Well, who has what story, Nima?
Following the arrest of an AA member, Adetunji, who confessed to being a member of the confraternity AA group and also being an armed robber, he confessed that, this lady, Basirat Akinmunishire, Akinmushire was one of their...
The pepper seller.
She used to aid and abet their activities as robbers. She kept their weapons for them. Yeah. So she was arrested, and I don't know what happened because of investigations, but the police said she was leading them to a guy, Junior was his name, who was supposed to be another gang member's house, who she said she had given the last batch of weapons to, but they said she fell in a ditch. And as a result of that, one thing, she died. So they called her family members who are completely in disagreement with them that, she died in the course of investigations, that, she's a member of the gang, she has aided them. She had confessed, according to the police, they had a confession, and I hope it's on video because, the new law in Lagos now, confessional statements should be taken on video. That's the only way the court can admit it. So I hope they have that in the video where she admitted to being forced by the group members to keep their weapons and that they paid her 5,000 after every robbery operation. So I hope that this thing is neatly tied up and this is not just some kind of setup, because it's possible she was taken out. It's also possible she was beaten and maltreated to death. Anything that will affect the police force in this, they should knit it up and let us have a video. That's all right.
I'll be quickly before I come to you. There's a story that Miriam is interested in, and I forgot to read that part. Cameroon President Paul Biya wins 7th term at 85. Fayemi will fulfill promises. APC assures Ekiti people disregard for rule of law worse than corruption. Obi.
Okay.
You can go. You have another story.
Disregard. The disregard you mentioned.
Biya, the president of Cameroon, has just come back. This is his 7th term as president. At 85 years old. I just want to thank God that we do not have that problem in Nigeria anymore. It just makes you to be grateful for the little successes that we're making. And he was quickly congratulated, even before the results came out, by the longest serving president in Africa of Equatorial Guinea. His name is President Theodore Obiang Nguema. So they're congratulating each other.
It's just cis-tight syndrome.
They should start to resist
quickly.
So the United States ambassador to Nigeria, William Stuart Symington, had a convocation lecture at the University of Ilorin, where he was saying that we shouldn't see corruption as just stealing money, but the disregard for the rule of law and injustice is the major problem that we have. And until we come together and put our priorities as patriots of our country first, we will not go further in development.
All right, quickly now to the nation, Oshomole. 90% APC members with me. Police yet to hand over of our robbery suspects. NHIS boss adamant, government revenue down 40%, Omerio had cramp. Then a major headline here, Balarabe Musa to Nigerians, don't return PDP to power. Our party has since changed, says the PDP. Now, EFCC arraigns Fayose for alleged 1.2 billion naira, $5 million theft. And then we have corruption blocking investment inflow. All right, who has what story?
Yes, I have. The police had blamed the Kwara State government of delaying on the of our robbery suspects. We remember that incident. And the Commissioner for Justice and for the state came out to say that for them, this cheap blackmail. Why would the police say that? That the police must have something that they are hiding, because it is not true that they are, you know, that they have delayed the prosecution of these robbers.
Armed robbery is, and the kind of offense that are being charged for is a federal as well as state offense. It can be prosecuted by either party. I read the story and they are saying the Attorney General for the Federation, that's Malami, directed the matter to be dealt with by the Attorney General for Kwara State. But whether or not all these are just English, if they are afraid of the suspects being moved to Kwara State, they should try them at the federal level. And if they are safe to be tried at Kwara State, I think they should just go ahead with the charge and find a way to get them to Kwara State.
The bank launched a report yesterday saying that the government's revenue generation is down by 40%. Yes. And one of the reasons is the political distractions, election distractions. You know, they looked into the oil and gas sector, infrastructure, human capital, and they're saying the only way we can come out of this is to take a pragmatic approach.
But that's usually what happens. And
yeah,
so how
during
do
election period.
How do we avoid such? Should be the way to look forward.
Every year.
It's every year. Then to the Daily Sun now we have Biafra, Kanu not working for Nigeria, says Wazirike Igbo Group dares IPOB leader to return home. Major headline, as Buhari gives Oshomole marching orders, Governor Amosun hits party chair, Lagos cabal, accuses party leaders of fraud over Ogun primaries. And how elite religious leaders scuttle corruption fight Oshibaju. We have EFCC arraigns Fayose over alleged 2.7 billion naira fraud, bill application hearing tomorrow. Supreme Court annuls Rivers APC congresses. Ekweremadu set to dump PDP for the APC.
So I saw the story on the Vice President talking about how the elites have become a cog in the wheel of the fight against corruption. He said that during a plenary session, during the Nigerian Economic Summit that's ongoing in Abuja, he said that the elite, the religious leaders, because they have access to them, you know, when a corrupt person has been found guilty and they're about to sack him, you get calls, not from one person, not from, you know, several people. So it makes the fight against corruption difficult, but they're not backing off and they're still going to keep pushing. So you see, somehow we're because of our own problem.
I always talk about Amosun and Shomole issues happening. So post-primary elections, in governorship elections in Ogun State, there are still major issues because, you know, the governor's candidate didn't emerge and he still has issues about how the primary is going. I remember he did a press briefing claiming that, you know, this was not in conformance with what Ogun State people wanted. And Oshomole insisted that they had the primaries in Ogun State. I think they should knit this up. It's going to affect the total outcome of elections in 2019. Yeah. They should quickly clean up there.
All right, quickly, let's move on to the Vanguard. APC cleared this mess. Buhari tells Oshomole. No genuine primary held in Ogun. Governor Amosun insists the alleged fraud blames Lagos cabal. And then Femi Kuti to Oshibaju, I won't support government because of my father. Oshibaju at the Economic Summit. Religious leaders, traditional rulers frustrate action against corrupt individuals. Kaduna crisis, rumor causing more death than guns. Catholic bishop, 3 killed in fresh attack. And then Ambody's action will determine if he'll be impeached. Lagos Speaker. Buhari's son-in-law, Abu Ismaila Issa, in court against Katsina APC Guba, Matsari's emergence. Police NHIS staff clash. Suspended Executive Secretary Usman Yusuf forces away into agency's premises.
The NHIS story. So they had a clash yesterday while formerly they had the executive secretary suspended, of the scheme suspended because of corruption allegations. And so yesterday he was trying to get into the premises, but then the workers had come earlier at about 7 a.m., barricaded the whole place. They didn't want him in, but he was able to enter forcefully. The policemen had to, you know, tear gas and pulled.
Suspended, isn't he?
Yes,
the issues are
one of the ministers.
This President Executive Secretary was appointed by the President post a suspension, and he was suspended again by the Minister for Health at the time. Yeah. He insisted that, you know, it was out of line of the minister to suspend him because he was an appointee of the President. And this is following some allegations of corruption at the time. Yeah. Now the President reinstated him against the wishes of the workers and the Governing Council. The Governing Council now suspended him again, and they are claiming the minister did not vet it this time.
All right.
The issues are, if you have a correctional allegation, step aside while they investigate you.
It's ongoing.
Exactly.
That's what
it's like you don't
All
trust
right,
the system.
let's quickly run through the other papers now. Nigerian Tribune. Commotion as diesel-laden tanker falls on Otedola Bridge. 23 killed, 17 injured in Kaduna crisis, Sema. Amosun attacks Shomali, Lagos Cabal, Oshoba Onugun APC crisis. Supreme Court upholds injunction order against Rivers APC Congress. Pandemonium in Edo Assembly over Deputy Speaker's removal. 6.9 billion naira alleged fraud. Fire share reigned. Pleads not guilty. Well, that's the much we can take from the newspaper headlines. Well, next, do you know the importance of iodine salt in your bodies? Our special guests will enlighten us more. You don't want to miss it. Find out more after this break. Stay with us. Welcome back to Your View. Thanks for staying with us. Every October 21st is the World Iodine Deficiency Day. So to commemorate this day, which falls on Sunday, we have the brand ambassador for Mr. Chef Iodized Salt, who is an actress and senior special advisor on entertainment, arts and culture to Kogi State Governor Mercy Johnson Okoji.
So if you are here for health, would have brought you for the women we love on Wednesday, but you are here for health.
Okay, so I was speaking with someone yesterday and he was like, he has not been seeing some of your works. And I'm like, okay, maybe because she's an ambassador now, she's busy and all of that. But then tell us, how has your journey been with Mr. Chef?
About seeing me, I think I'm basically always in your face, in their faces. It's like an internet life now. It's an internet era, you know. So I think maybe perhaps he's not been watching because I'm still on screen, even though I took time up for kids, you know, and family. My journey with Mr. Chef Salt has been awesome. They are just one of the best brand, you know, one can affiliate themselves to.
Great.
How passionate are you about, you know, the health of people and, you know, the deficiencies that come with lack of iodine?
As a mom, as a wife, when it comes to health, it's very important because they usually say when anything happens, we are the ones that run helter-skelter, particularly when it has to do with kids.
Exactly.
I have 3, so it's extremely important that their health is everything, you know, important to me. Now, about the iodine deficiency disorder, I think the major problem we have as a country, as a people, is education, awareness, information. People do not have this information that iodine is an element, a micronutrient that the body does not produce. So it's reliant on your intake. Yes. So what you eat is what helps the thyroid hormone to produce the T3 and the T4 to help you out with.
Yeah, I know you were diagnosed with iodine deficiency a few years ago. What were yours? Yes, according to
stories,
reports.
Yes.
So maybe you might want to...
You guys believe everything you read.
Okay, you didn't have any form of symptoms at all? You were not diagnosed with iodine deficiency?
I had like personal issues. That I like to discuss personal issues that has to do with my health or problems that break me down when I think I've overcome or fought through those battles. I do not think I'd want to discuss it now because I haven't come like in terms with that particular battle.
Fine.
Yes.
But I just wanted to find out, some people are listening, I'm like, what's this iodine deficiency? What does it cause in me? If I'm deficient, what do I see in my body? And, you know, do you have anything to say?
Okay, yes, this is it. It's extremely simple. Now, for every human being, you have a different dose of intake per day that your body needs. And now, because the body does not produce it and you have to get it through whatever it is you're taking in, like food, fish, meat, eggs, shellfish, sea fish, you know, that's how you get it. And your table salt, Mr. Chef. Table salt.
She drops it there.
Yes. So that is why you need like a required amount of iodine in your body. When you do not have that, that's when you realize your neck begins to swell, the goiter, fatigue. In children, it causes cretinism, and a host of others, you know, miscarriages in pregnant women, yes, stillbirth.
So how has Mr. Chef helped in riddling these issues in the society, in Nigeria, basically?
In numerous ways.
Oh, wow.
Now, I'm not saying that they're the #1 means of getting the education or the information out there to people, even though they do that, you know, they create that awareness. You realize that in countries like Philippines, you're not actually allowed to buy salt that is exposed to sunlight, humidity, and what have you. But in the north, in Nigeria here, that's how they buy salt.
Even in Lagos.
Even in Lagos. Which is really baffling, which brings us back to the information, the awareness, and the education. So what Mr. Chef Salt does is our salt, as an ambassador, it comes in sachets, well sealed, well processed. It has 40% more iodine than your regular salt.
Oh, really?
Yes. So it means when you use Mr. Chef Salt, you're actually solving a problem known or unknown to you. And what they also do is, even though they get it closest to you, they also, most at times, I think quarterly, educate people on the need for you to have it, on the need for you not to go to the market and just pick up any salt and walk away. You know, so in places like the north where this education is needed the most, they need to know that you do not buy salt in noodles.
So they're watching.
You buy them in sachets.
TVC covers those areas.
What are you doing, you, Mr. Chef, doing to take the message to the rural areas who they don't have, you know, they always buy their salts in modules? How are you, what are your plans concerning sensitizing them in those areas?
It's not like in the making, it's already been made. We are already sensitizing them about it. Mr. Chef Salt, yes, they have numerous marketers at less stress all around Nigeria, in the north particularly, educating people on the need for you to use Mr. Chef Salt. You not only buy it from them, you're also educated. We do seminars and, you know, educate people on the need for you to use.
You mentioned that, you know, it leads to miscarriages, and I wonder why is this deficiency more common in women, pregnant women?
You see, whichever way we look at it, it always takes us back to the beginning, which is education and awareness. Most women understand, oh yes, I need calcium, but they do not know that they also need iodine. And then they do not know that your body does not produce iodine. They do not know that what you take in is what produces, helps the thyroid hormone to produce the T3 and the T4. So basically, I think that for women, it's more important, pregnant women, because when you have a deficiency in iodine, it goes down because you're pregnant, and what you need as a daily intake, it varies based on people. We might need like 100 to 150. Children might need like 120 to 130. A pregnant woman will need like 200 thereabout, depending on how well. Yes. So when you do not do that, it not only affects the pregnancy, it affects the fetus. So you see, two people are suffering at the same time for one mistake.
Is there a collaboration between Mr. Chef and maybe non-governmental organizations that have access to these women or children to ensure that they reach out better to them? Is there anything in the works?
Yes, there are numerous, you know, they have like numerous angles by which they are fighting this problem, but which will still bring us back to sometimes some companies do not just need to exist in Nigeria. We need government involvement. You need like companies, NGOs to get involved with them, individuals to get involved with them to spread the message wide. So as much as Mr. Chef as a company, as a brand are doing their own, people also need, the government needs to call people like that hold health issues so dear and want to solve such problems, and see how you can also join them, partner with them to get the message further. So on their own, as a Mr. Chef brand, they're doing so much. We've traveled almost everywhere to spread the message on the need for you to have enough salt in your system, the adequate one needed, you know, as a person. So what we're saying now is, yes, we are doing that. We are still doing that. We will continue to do that. But any other form of involvement or partnership isn't a bad idea.
Okay. So how fulfilling is this brand ambassador thing? Is he rewarding or is he not demanding?
Well, what do you mean? Two things. Two things. It is extremely rewarding. But I think that the essence of every human being is to make an impact in your environment.
Important. And
when you do not make an impact in your environment, you're basically a walking corpse. So for me, yes, it is extremely. Thank you, Mr. Chef. But as a mom, as a wife, it's also important. Every child is my child. It's also important for us to ensure that we live right and we live healthy and we're all fine.
Beautiful. So all these issues, goiter, miscarriages, stillbirth, mental, impaired growth for children, can be solved or prevented by using just iodized salt.
No, you didn't say it well.
Okay, Mr. Chef, iodized salt. Yeah, the one that will say it now.
I have to dash you guys something. What would it be? No.
Are you sure?
I was thinking.
So that will solve all the problems.
Yes.
Oh my God.
So it's extremely important. You just don't go to the market and pick up the models of salt or pick up any salt. It has, not because I'm a brand ambassador, Mr. Chef salt actually has 40% more iodine than most others. So why go for another when you can pick up the one you're certain will give you what you need as a person.
Interesting.
To be healthy.
Interesting and really educating.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mercy Johnson Okoji.
Yeah, I like it.
Thank you for spending time with us
you.
on Your View. Well, tomorrow is World Polio Day. To commemorate this, our guest will shed more light on how to eradicate polio in our society. Stay with us. We will be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. Now, polio has been one of the major epidemics that the government has tried to curb. The Minister of Health, Isaac Adewale, said that despite the government making considerable progress in immunization programs in the region, polio remains a threat in Nigeria as over 100,000 children are yet to be immunized against the disease in the northeastern part of the country. Joining us on the show is a pharmacist and the polio representative, Rotary International District 9110 for Lagos State, Adenike Abdulaziz. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Good. Now, Nigeria is still on that list, and like the Minister for Health said, it's because of the challenges being faced in that region. Now, does that paint a bleak picture of our chances of getting out of that list anytime soon?
No, it doesn't. See, one thing we must all realize is that even if it's only one child that is left unimmunized, we must strive to get the child immunized. Okay. But the fact that there are some unimmunized children does not make our chances of being taken off the list bleak. Don't forget that between 2014 and 2016, July 2014 to 2016, yes, Nigeria did not record a single case of wild polio virus. Yeah. It was in July 2016 that we had 4 cases in Benue State. And if we didn't have those 4 cases, by 2017 we would have been declared, we have been certified polio-free. So that was why they put us back on the list. Now we've gone another 2 years. And by August of 2019, we would have done 3 years, God willing, without a single case of polio virus. You need to establish only 2 things for you to be taken off that list. You must establish a good immunization program in your country, which we are doing in Nigeria. You must also have in place a robust surveillance system to be able to pick up any case in case it occurs, either of wild polio or of wild polio.
Do we have that?
Yes, we do. We have good surveillance system in Nigeria. Otherwise, those 4 cases would not have been picked as fast as they were picked.
Right. So this surveillance system that we have, is this government or is this Rotary? Because I know Rotary is doing a fantastic job with polio.
Most people do not know that the initiative to eradicate polio in the world is actually a Rotary international initiative. Oh, wow. The first country to attempt to eradicate polio in the country was Philippines, and that was in 1982. Okay. By 1985, the Rotary International decided this thing can be achieved in the world. And RI approached World Health Organization. They had a roundtable. WHO said, if you can raise the sum of $120 million, we'll partner with you and get it done. By 1988, Rotary had raised $247 million instead of the 120 requested. So WHO was the first partner Rotary had. And so with the funds in place, UNICEF joined, and United States Center for Disease Control and Prevention also joined. So there were 4 partners, and that was how we started.
In the attempt
but then,
sorry to cut you. In the attempt to eradicate polio, there was some resistance in Nigeria, according to reports.
True.
In some areas because of culture, in some areas because of misconceptions surrounding
religion,
surrounding
what's it called,
immunization, whatever at the time. How were these challenges, conquered and settled?
Now, one of the things that Rotary is known for is our advocacy programs. What we did was to have a lot of advocacy visits to the churches, the mosque, the traditional rulers. We had a lot of volunteers going into communities. And we found out that there was so much resistance because a lot of people did not feel a sense of belonging to the program. So we designed a method whereby every team going to immunize in a community has an indigene on the team, so that they see someone they can relate to, somebody they can trust. This misconception has actually caused a lot of problem for us in Nigeria. And not only in Nigeria, even in Afghanistan. There are only 3 countries left in the world that have not been taken off the polio list. Nigeria, Pakistan, and Afghanistan.
And I know that polio can be imported across borders.
Oh, yes. Okay.
And we have a porous system here where anybody can get into the country. What are the measures put in place to ensure that people coming in do not have the virus and they cannot infect other people?
There is no way for you to say nobody will come in with polio.
Okay.
Because it's not something you test for at the point of entry. But if you have a robust immunization system in place in your country, you see, polio is a virus that does not exist in other destinies. It only exists in primates, in human beings. So if the human beings in your own country, your children are already properly immunized, even if somebody is coming in from outside, your children have already developed, they've been sensitized to it, so they pick it up, their system is just going to fight it, and it goes. That's why we keep saying, we must keep on immunizing our children. It's not about how many have been immunized today. It's about ensuring that you constantly do this immunization. I want to commend Lagos State. In Nigeria, Lagos State has the highest cover when it comes to immunization of children. We're really doing fantastically well in Lagos State, but everyone is at risk, even if one person is carrying the virus. So what we are trying to do is to ensure that we have a herd protection, that all our children get immunized. So we're encouraging Lagosians. This thing you have mentioned is important. The holidays are just over. A lot of children have traveled everywhere. And Nigerians, we love to travel. Afghanistan, will find Nigerians. Pakistan, you'll find Nigerians there. And they're back. And now you don't know who is coming with what. But if your children are well immunized, they will fight it off.
Now, what effort is being put in place to educate people? Because it's very important, such that they understand that this immunization, like you have said, whether you travel, you come back, wherever you go, you can easily get this, especially children.
Rotary is actually doing a lot of awareness campaign on that. On Saturday, we had a walk, to end polio. Within the Ikeja axis, we have had over 600 participants. About 30 of the participants are actually polio survivors. People who they can no longer walk because they were infected. We needed to display these people for people to see this could happen to you if you don't get immunized. The same day we were at the Palace of the Ballet of Makoko, we immunized hundreds of children. Tomorrow is World Polio Day. There will be so many programs. We're going to storm the markets. We're going to go to motor parks. Several Rotary clubs are doing various projects, all aimed at sensitizing, especially mothers.
We're almost out of time, but when we come back...
is on polio, and so we need to cut back on focusing on the Rotary
Exactly.
Club.
When we come back, I'd like you to tell us more about what polio is exactly, how the vaccine is preserved, and how it's administered, because we see them with green and whatever. Some people don't trust them. Sometimes I have a doubt if I allow them administered to my child. So I want you to address that particularly, but when we come back from the break, we're almost
All right, now we'll take this short break and return to continue with our discussion.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Welcome back. Well, we're still talking polio because tomorrow is World Polio Day, and we still have our guest in the studio. Before we went on break, Nima wanted to ask a question.
I wanted us to really understand what polio was about.
Yeah.
And I see, we talked about some cultures who are afraid of they don't trust the vaccines and the administrators of these vaccines. I want you to address how it's administered, how it's preserved particularly, whether it has any side effects that, will scare people from trusting.
Good. Polio is actually a viral infection that is transmitted from human to human.
Yeah.
When the virus is ingested, it actually goes in through the mouth. And,
from food?
Water.
Or water?
From contaminated food or water.
Okay.
Because if someone who is infested with polio defecates, there are some viruses in the feces. So in areas where the sanitary condition is not too good, you find people from unwashed hands and all that, using that to prepare food or give water to the child. You now infect the next human being. Very rarely would you get polio being transmitted through sneezing and things like that. It's usually the oral route.
Okay.
So what happens is once the virus is in the body, it replicates fast in the throat and in the intestine. Of the children who are infested, there's not every one of them that would actually come down with the disease. You see symptoms, you have fever, you have sore throat, and if it progresses, you have the viruses attacking the nerves, and that is when you get paralysis.
Can it be treated?
Unfortunately, you treat the symptoms.
Not the disease.
Not the disease. So the best thing to do is the prevention.
And what's the age range of children that are prone to this?
From 0 to 59 months. So we say from birth to 5 years.
Yeah.
Those are the children who are most prone. And that's why immunization starts from 0 till you're 5 years old. Now, when a child is infested already, and the child has the symptoms, take the child to the hospital, all the symptoms will be managed. But sometimes
they can't manage.
You can't, yes, and then you get this. Before 1988, there were 350,000 people paralyzed by polio in the world. Yes, it was down to 1,000 children getting paralyzed in a day all over the world. Last year, we had only 22 cases.
Wow, that's an amazing
result.
So
the immunization, yes, all over the world. The immunization has done fantastically well. 99% successful. We're coming down to the last 1%. And that's why we mustn't stop. Every mother must ensure their child gets immunized against polio.
Quickly, let's take this call. We have Daniel on the line. Go ahead with your contribution, Daniel.
Okay, thank you very much. My mom died 4 days ago. She's actually a very big fan of this show. So I said that she just called to tell people thank you.
Take
making her
out.
happy.
Sorry about
Take
your
out.
loss. Sorry about your loss, Daniel.
Sorry for your loss.
I'm very happy.
Take out. Yeah.
I want to thank every one of you. My regards to Jumoke. Jumoke was actually actually right.
Wow.
Then YK, then of course Murai. Just so that I can imagine us smiling down and me doing it right now. You know, waiting to tell everybody, we all have to thank us. Thank you very much once again.
All right, our condolences. Take out.
Take out.
All right. Nima, you wanted to ask a question.
The administrators of the vaccine, their mode of carrying the vaccine and their, everything about them. Some is almost distrusting. You can't put your child in their hands. How are the vaccines preserved from door to door when they do the door-to-door administration?
Now, let me say this first. There are 2 types of polio vaccines. There is the injectable one, and there is the oral one. The injectable one was the first one that was in circulation from 1955. The oral came in 1961. The injectable one does not require so much special condition to preserve like the oral one, because the cold chain must be maintained. And that's why you see them carry something like coolers. See, those coolers are not like the coolers we use for food. They are actually kept at a certain temperature, and they keep the vaccines cold throughout until it is administered to the child. Talking about the people who are administering the immunization, I told you earlier, there was so much distrust, especially in the northern part of the country. So, apart from the volunteers and the health workers, we needed to bring in the locals that they would see and trust. So I'm not going to say that it is everyone you see wearing the apron or the jacket that is actually an indigent.
Adenike, we have run out of time. We could continue talking about this on and on and on, but I must say thank you for enlightening us, educating us. We've learned a lot this morning. Thank you so much for coming on your view.
Nice to meet you.
And thank you, ladies. It's been a wonderful time.
Thank you, Veronica.
Well, join us tomorrow for our live audience show. Please come early. Remember, we can only take 30 and dress well. Please have a fabulous day. Bye now.
Bye.